from the studios of Freedom's Phoenix, Ernest Hancock.
Believe me when I say we have a difficult time ahead of us. But if we are to be prepared for it, we must first shed our fear of it. I stand here without fear because I remember that I am here not because of the path that lies before me, but because of the path that lies behind me. I remember that for 100 years we have fought these machines. And after a century of war, I remember that which matters most. We are still here! Today, let us make them remember. We are not afraid!
Yeah, here on Declare Your Independence with me, Ernest Hancock. We have a very, very, very special guest today, Mr. Adam versus the man. You know, it's one thing when I need to ask you this right away. Adam Kokesh. Adam, who's the man?
The man is anybody who thinks that they have some kind of right or authority or special privilege to tell you how to live your life and violate your God-given rights.
That sounds pretty mannish to me. Okay, now this is what I need to know. We have building up you've started this thing to where you have an opportunity to demonstrate support for Dr. Paul from veterans and the troops. It's all the buzz. Okay, there's a lot of veterans here, want to participate and everything. I want you to tell me from the beginning to the end every little thing, because there's you're building up to an event, aren't you?
Absolutely, and this came to me in a bit of a vision, in a fit of sleeplessness sometime between long stretches of driving from the D.C. area back and forth to Iowa and New Hampshire. But it did come to me as kind of a vision in and of itself, and I decided that what we were going to do was march in the White House as Veterans for Ron Paul, and what we needed to do was get the message across to the American people that Ron Paul is the choice of the troops. And as I'm sure your listeners know, Ron Paul has received more campaign contributions from active duty service members than all other candidates put together. And if this inconvenient little fact about Ron Paul was true about any other candidate, you can just imagine how the mainstream would be spinning this. Well, it appears Mitt Romney has the support of the troops, which pretty much guarantees him the presidency in this race might as well be over. Time to pack it up, folks, and go home. But if it's Ron Paul, it's an inconvenient little fact that's swept under the rug because the media can't understand it, as it's described the drive-by media. Never underestimate the laziness of reporters in trying to meet their deadlines and get their stories out. And really, a lot of the media blackout on Ron Paul can be explained not by any grand conspiracy, but by the media's inability to understand this phenomenon of liberty, this phenomenon of a non-interventionist foreign policy, appealing to the people who might, die from an interventionist foreign policy. And while we have this wonderful statistic to demonstrate how many of the active duty support Ron Paul by their campaign contributions, because it's the one way that you can't shut the troops up, the one way that you can't fully oppress their right to be politically engaged. You can't keep them from donating to a candidate. But we'd like to show that there's a similar parallel within the veterans community of people that support Ron Paul. And it's not despite his foreign policy. You don't have record numbers of active duty troops donating to support this presidential candidate thinking, well, we like the constitutional stuff, but the foreign policy is, we'll donate anyways. No, that's not it. It's because of the foreign policy. It's because troops are still creatures of pragmatism like anybody else, and those who have their lives on the line for this country have an incentive to ensure that their lives are only put on the line when absolutely essential. And I think what the troops are looking for, and I don't claim to speak for all of the troops, but this is what I'm seeing behind all of this sentiment. This is what I'm seeing behind it. This is what I'm hearing from guys, and this is what I've come to conclude, is that as members of the military and the veterans community, we want a commander-in-chief, first and foremost, who's going to be decisive. And while Ron Paul might not have that command presence and that slick back hair, you know that when he's asked a question, He knows how his principles are going to be applied. He knows the answer in advance, and as commander-in-chief, he would be decisive in his decision-making process in terms of when we are going to deploy the military. Second thing is, we want a commander-in-chief who is going to put America's security interests first. When you sign up to join the U.S. military, you don't sign up to defend Israel or Iraq or Afghanistan or any other nation on this planet. You sign up to defend America, and if we minded our own business and stuck to that mission, we know we'd be a lot better off. And finally, we want a commander-in-chief who is only going to send us into harm's way when we have a clear moral imperative, or as Dr. Paul would call it, and the founders would call it, a declaration of war as per the Constitution. And that gives people in the military a way to know what their mission is, to go in, to destroy things, to blow stuff up and kill people like we do best and come home, and not be in this ridiculous liberal concept of nation building that we see ourselves stuck in now in Iraq and Afghanistan, and obviously more so Afghanistan at this point. But this liberal concept of nation building, of empire, is going away because the troops are starting to see through the scam that is our foreign policy. And I was so encouraged by seeing Corporal Jesse Thorson. This really was the inspiration for the event. Corporal Jesse Thorson, active duty Army soldier who was at the Ron Paul after party in Iowa, and while doing an interview with Dana Bash, the infamous prostitute for CNN, was mysteriously cut off when their live feed started to give out after he mentioned the fact that Israel could take care of itself, as per the leadership of Israel. And Ron Paul decided to bring him back up on stage to finish his thoughts. And I thought, there's an opportunity here, because there are so many guys on active duty who might not have the courage or carelessness or the cavalier attitude towards the regulations as Jesse Thorson does, and the willingness to say, no, my ability to speak out comes before the UCMJ. My desire to do something for my country by getting Ron Paul elected, or at least getting his message out there and making it clear that this is how the troops feel, is more important than maybe me getting in trouble for breaking a little regulation that gets broken, or the kind that get broken all the time. So, like I said, the idea came to me in a vision that we would march from the Washington Monument in a platoon formation to the White House to do an about face and turn our backs on the White House and hold a flag folding ceremony in which we're going to hold a hand salute to a folded flag for as many seconds as troops have died both abroad and in veteran suicide since President Obama took office, and then march silently back to the Washington Monument. And when the idea first came to me, I figured if we just had a platoon-sized element, if we just had, 40 guys and gals lined up, it would work. It would be a powerful statement. It would send a message. It would create the visual that we want to create in front of the White House there, that will we hope be undeniable by the mainstream media. But after floating the idea around online a few places, Ron Paul forums, the Daily Paul, my own website, Veterans for Ron Paul 2012 on Facebook, realized that we're going to have a lot more than a platoon-sized formation. And now we've got about 1,500 RSVP'd on Facebook. And I know a Facebook RSVP is not nearly as good as someone showing up in real life. And even if it's only a third, I'm pretty confident now that we're going to have about 500 in this formation if nothing else happens between now and then, because we've got a lot of active duty guys also saying, we can't put our names on this, but we're gonna be there, or we'll be there with our squads, and we have a feeling we're gonna have a share of active duty guys, including Corporal Jesse Thorson, who's gonna be there for this event. So that's very exciting, and my goal is still to get this to 1,000. So we need all the help we can get at this point. If you can't be there in person, be there in spirit, and be there with your wallet to help get somebody who otherwise might not be able to afford it, to get them there. Also, we have an incredible after party planned right now. You can get your tickets online at
More from Adam Kokesh. I knew he'd get them all the way to the break. Just let him go, man. Let him go. I was like, I'm going, you're going to make it. You're going to make it. Yes, he made it all the way.
Get to the best part,
I'm going to ask questions when we come back on Declare Your Independence for Adam Kokesh, Adam versus the Man, and Troops.
This is Charles Goyette, author of the New York Times bestseller, The Dollar Meltdown, so you can learn how to protect yourself and your family. Now, you can audit the Fed. You can end the Fed. But why not start by ignoring the Fed? Visit don'ttreadonmeme.com. That's Don't Tread on M-E-M-E, fashioning the silver economy. A meme, a contagious idea that spreads within a culture, a spontaneous order. Nowhere is this more evident than in one's free choice in that most marketable of commodities, money. Let us Austrians use wallet voting. Don't Tread on Meme, the leading craftsman of silver dime trading cards, as well as some offbeat Liberty-themed apparel. Follow the history of the dime card outreach at onceuponadime.info and get a silver calculator app at whatisthiscoinworth.info. Boycott an empire of theft. Build a society of consent. Don't tread on meme.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of...
Adam?
Yo.
Okay. What I want to do is let you finish up whatever it is that you wanted to do.
Sure.
And then I got some questions. Let me prep you.
It'll just be a minute to mention the after party.
After party. Just a minute. Okay. Platoon formation. What's the significance of that and why a platoon? I mean, what's a platoon? And then the suicides. I want to get in on that a little bit, And then prostitutes. I've been hearing that a lot, which is good. I wonder why I haven't heard it earlier and where'd that come from. And then
Dana Bash. Just Dana Bash. She brought the term back into vogue.
Who?
Dana Bash, CNN, single-handedly brought the term back into vogue.
Oh, she didn't do it. It was just when she was doing her stuff.
She inspired it.
Well, who started it? Do you know?
Prostitute? That's not that new, is it?
I don't know. It's anyway. So we'll talk about that. And then,
did you come up with that one originally?
Of course I did. As far as you know, I'm Russia, man. I invent everything. The guy, his name is Jesse Thorson. That's his name, Thorson.
Yep, Corporal Jesse Thorson.
Now he, I'll probably intro with him a little bit. You can do the after party, after I answer questions about that. But I want to, did he get in trouble? Where's that at? Did anybody press that? Kind of thing. And then, of course, the after party. So we'll go with that, and I'll just let you go. But, I'll get to ask questions one of these days. I'll be right back.
Care less. It's a common mistake. You are judged by how you speak, especially if you're looking for work, with so many more applicants than openings now. But even if you're not, avoiding common misstatements will help you make the most of the dozens of conversations and transactions that crowd your day.
Oh, the guy that you have on, the tall Indian guy, what's his name? He's on your site now, the video. He was the guy that asked on Craigslist for video of him getting beat up and stuff.
On my website?
Yeah, if you look at it, he's in latest video, Heather Fazio, Humanize, Harmonize.
Oh, Antonio Bueller. Oh, yeah. Sorry, I've uploaded so many videos recently, I forgot. Yeah, Antonio Bueller.
Do you know the story of him?
Yeah, briefly. I heard I talked to him. I didn't retain any more details than you would see in that video. I mean, the idea that he was holding a cop accountable and ended up getting...
Their arms
they screwed him with this bullshit charge.
Welcome back to Declare Your Independence with me, Ernest Hancock, here in Phoenix, Arizona, from the BEA beautiful studios of Freedoms with an S, freedomsphoenix.com. On the air, we have Adam versus the man, Adam Kokesh. He's doing an event to give the troops an opportunity to express their displeasure with, things that are, and hopefully the way things should be. And this is, he was describing it, and there's more he wants to, 15 minutes, 10 minutes was not enough, okay? So he needs to talk about the after party, but I have some questions. I'm taking some notes as he's, doing his monologue, and I tell you, there's a lot of good information in there, but a lot of times you got that inside military speak, and we'll go ahead and get some things clarified, but I want to let you finish on the after party, because I heard after party and the music started. Whoa, we didn't know about the after party, okay? So go ahead and give me the after party.
Sure, Ernie. It's really exciting. This is just one more big thing I gotta tell you to include to give people a picture of what we have planned for this event. Although there's so many exciting details, and I really want to encourage people to check out the Facebook event page called "Ron Paul is the Choice of the Troops." The description there is very thorough to talk about how you can help out and how you could win a speaking slot at the event, because we're not actually choosing any speakers except by our YouTube video contest. But we have an incredible after party plan for this event as well, at which we've got the cream of the crop of the musical talent of the freedom movement. Really, Ernie, if you could choose 4 acts to headline a libertarian event, wouldn't it be something like Amy Allen, Jordan Page, Golden State, and Rebel Inc.?
Sounds familiar names that I would approve of.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, we've got one exciting late addition who we hope to be adding in a more long-term sense to that lineup of talented Liberty musicians. Michael Graves, the former front band for the famous punk rock band The Misfits, has recently come out of the closet. In fact, I got the exclusive interview with him for my YouTube channel at youtube.com/Adam Kokesh. Michael Graves has been studying monetary policy, and that's what led him to the message of liberty. Having always been the infamous conservative punk, he has now fully come around to supporting Ron Paul. He's been donating to the campaign, and he is going to be performing an acoustic set for us for free at this event, which is very exciting.
This is one thing I want to interject here real quick. It's always been that they want to have the some punishment. You want to get Dixie chicked. If you're in support of freedom, or you say something against the man, or you do, boom, you're a pariah. You're not. Their songs don't get played on the air. They're doing album burning events and all kinds of stuff. Well, what happened is when you had this one, I can't remember her name, Green, the Idol winner chick that
Kelly Clarkson.
Yeah, Kelly Clarkson. She says, "Yeah, Ron Paul, it was good." You're so not allowed. You was on network TV, got you a mainstream gig with a blah blah blah. You're not allowed. Well, she didn't back away, and the people supported her. All of a sudden, her sales shoot up. Everything, all the good stuff happens. You would think that every single rock star and rock star resurrecting my career wannabe anybody they'd be running around wrapping arms and legs around Ron Paul. Let me write you a song, okay? And this is, have we got the culture to the point now that that's starting to happen?
The movement is an economic force in the record industry. No, I was so thrilled to hear that her sales spiked as a result of endorsing Ron Paul, because if it had been the opposite, we'd be in a lot of trouble. But it was so encouraging. It wasn't like, hey, there's a little bump and then, everybody else got upset and the sales tanked. No, it was a spike, 600%, right? Her sales went through the roof. And to see that the freedom movement can now be an economic force to be reckoned with was really exciting. That we can do something. We are a consumer group that with one single day's activity can get the national media's attention by spiking
wallet voting
record sales.
Wallet voting. Where did the money come from? That's what it comes down to. And the cultural aspect of this is that the masses of the people can trump any consolidated money that was done from taxpayers or by eliminating competition or monopolies. And sooner or later, the people outweigh. And when it comes to something like this, this was just all they had to do is just supporters of Dr. Paul just go, you know what? I'll go listen to her album. What the heck? I'll go iTunes it. I'll buy this. I'll go get just because I can. Wallet voting, and this is going to have a major impact. I want to ask some questions. Turn me down a little bit. When you talk about platoon formation, What the heck does that mean?
Well, I said platoon size, and a platoon is a relatively small military unit. You know, we have the individual rifleman, we have the 4-person fire team, we have the 3 fire team squad, and we have the generally 3-squad platoon. And in a standard military formation, at least like you would have in boot camp, you would have 4 across by about 10 deep, and that would be about 40 for a platoon, maybe a little more. And of course, depending on the unit and the circumstance, yada yada. But that's about a platoon size formation. I was thinking,
I'm sorry, I didn't have my
60.
calculator. What was the math on a platoon?
40 to 60.
All right, thank you.
Being very conservative in terms of what we needed to pull this event off to make it work right.
I just want to know how big Charlie Sheen's group was. Okay.
Now we have a ceremonial detail that is going to be a massive formation that you would probably never see in the actual military, but we're going to have a military style formation. And like I said, I'm pretty confident now we're going to have about 500 there. So, maybe 8 squads. What are we looking at? 20 deep, something like that.
Let me ask you this.
That would only be 160. About 60 deep, 8 squads, 60 deep of troops and veterans. And we're encouraging everybody to wear something that is symbolic of their service and something that is symbolic of their support for Ron Paul. The first active duty guys we spoke to in New Hampshire when we announced this were saying that they were going to wear a suit, a political dress suit, and look formal and properly represent the cause with their ribbon bar. That is all of their ribbons, their campaign ribbons and awards pinned on their left lapel as it would be with the military uniform, and on the right chest to have a Ron Paul button.
Well, what do you think of that? That sounds like, anonymous with, a salad on their lapel. I mean...
Well, I'm just really excited to have created something that's given so many guys an opportunity to spread the message. And it's the same thing with running for president versus just advocating for liberty. If you go knock on your neighbor's door and you say, hey, I've got this idea, you should try this liberty thing out, you get it slammed in your face. But if you say, hey, do you care who your next president is? It's a good way to start the conversation and get people to open up and to start listening. And in the same sense, active duty troops are talking about this event with each other.
When we come back, I tell you, there's a lot of questions that I have. How is this going to be perceived? It's scary. To whom? How is it going to be? Who's going to be speaking at it? What's the message? This can have a big impact. It might even go noticed. We're going to find out when we come back here on Declare Your Independence with me and Adam Kokesh.
If you want to move to the...
Okay, that's what I want to focus on when we come back is, like you're saying, the suit thing and all that kind of stuff and what they're going to be doing. And I'm interested in, what kind of message it's going to send to the troops, the veterans, the people, and what kind of relationship you think you're going to have with the press. Because it's not going to go unnoticed. You know how to do enough social networking. The press can't ignore it. They're going to have to spin it at least.
I'd be really surprised if we don't at least get a photograph on the front page of the Washington Post. That's like if that's. I mean, I understand if you're not a Ron Paul supporter, it's not news until it happens. But I think we'll at least get that much. And it would be really beautiful, of course, is if they decide it's news before it happens, and then it blows up because they do a story about it like on Friday. But we will see.
Yeah, what's with the beard, man? I'm seeing this whatever the hell thing going on. Yeah, purdy. Tell me about it. What's up with that?
Gotta
have a freaking story. This evolution of Adam, man.
No, I'm growing it out for the winter and enjoying it. I love it. I'm enjoying sticking it to the man with my facial hair.
Whatever floats your boat, man. The you're going to this thing, Liberty West deal. What do you know about that?
That was this past weekend.
Oh yeah, how'd it go?
That's what that video's from that you were looking at with Antonio.
Oh really? Oh cool.
It was great. Turnout was a little low, but
how many people?
It was a really well produced event.
How many people went?
Oh, I didn't even look. I mean, it was less than 100.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, they were really pumping it up as going to be 1,000 and all this other
Someone
stuff.
said we had thousands, tens of thousands, or 10,000 like watching online for the live stream. I can't imagine it being that high, but at least there was something there.
It was promoted. Everybody was pushing it.
Well, it turns out everybody wanted to watch online instead of come out to Midland, Texas. So maybe it tells you something about the future of organizing. It's all going to be virtual.
Yeah.
No more real conventions.
Well, I tell you what the problem with me was when they contacted me. I mean, we gave ads and all that kind of stuff, and we didn't go because it started at 5 or 6 and went after midnight or something on a Saturday. And
yeah.
I mean, it starts at night. Heck, I'm going to bed by then, So
no, I mean it's an evening premiere event like the other Liberty Fests, and the problem was, part of the problem was, it wasn't. I don't know if you saw any of the video from Liberty Fest East. It probably sucked because nobody was plugged into the audio there, so it was in a bar environment. But that's what made it so cool, is that it was like it.
FR3. No, I was just checking to make sure we weren't coming back.
Okay. They were able to create like the environment of an outdoor political rally, like a big, exciting outdoor political party, But this one felt more like a conference, and they, you weren't able to make a lot of noise in the back of the room, and people weren't chatting. It was a bit more formal in that sense. So, yeah.
Yeah, well, it's their first time. Hopefully they'll keep getting better.
Yeah. But like I said, the production was amazing. I think they figured that out.
All right, cool. Well, online, it might be where it's at. Here, hold on. Here we go.
Free agents can get the valuable support they need. States are going to fail, so get off the sidelines and join other free agents on the front lines of freedom today by visiting fr33agents.com.
If you enjoy LRN.FM, please contribute to your favorite shows via their websites and become an amplifier at amp.lrn.fm. That's amp.lrn.fm.
It's time for Declare Your Independence with Ernest Hancock. To be a part of the show, call 602-264-2800.
Welcome back to Declare Your Independence. Me, Ernest Hancock, here in Phoenix, Arizona, from the BAU Tough Studios of Freedoms with an S, freedomsphoenix.com. Go check it out. Check it out. Oh, yeah. freedomsphoenixezine.com will take you to where you can subscribe and get access to all of the past issues. We're into our, 9th, 10th issue? 10th issue. Three more, and we got a calendar. Because the covers are awesome. And the last cover for February was War. What's it good for? Love, not war. And it was a beautiful design done by Scott Beezer. He and I collaborated on it, as we do each of our covers. And in that edition, we put a bunch of good stuff, anti-war, speeches, and, from Martin Luther King and JFK and Eisenhower, and a lot of great articles by a lot of good. We even got Richard Maybury to provide us an article. I mean, it is an awesome edition. Karen Kwiatkowski, Charles Goyette, Anthony Gregory. I mean, it's just all of these great pieces of material. And we thought it'd be, 30, 40, 50 page. It wound up being 80-something. And in there, we had the Revolution March speech by Adam Kokesh and the text. It was a beautiful speech. I knew it was going to have an enormous impact from the beginning. And he's taken on his experiences in the military as a Marine and shared his heart with a lot of people. And now I think this is really the first time that I know you've done a lot of things for the troops, but this is the first time that you've had an event that I know of that, as Adam versus the Man, that you've been in charge of, that has been just the troops demonstrating their support for not just Dr. Paul, but the message that he has of this non-intervention foreign policy that, hey, man, we're here to defend the homeland, not ExxonMobil. So I can see where this would be a really good opportunity. You think the press is going to give you any help on this one, or they'll just give you a byline, they were also there, Washington, the day after?
Well, I don't think that this is really news to people if they're not Ron Paul supporters until it happens. Sadly, that's the reality of it. Hopefully we can get a positive story before it starts. We're getting obviously huge support from the Liberty media, from independent media like yourself, who don't have any of the restraints that the corporate media has, and also have audiences full of Ron Paul supporters. So it's really exciting to see that kind of support is there from the movement, that people are jumping onto this, because the veterans community within the Ron Paul movement are absolutely jumping on this, and the support has just been overwhelming of people that were waiting for this to happen, that it was something that had to happen. But what we're going to be doing at the White House is creating a visual where you're going to see a formation full of veterans and active duty troops turning their backs on the White House, on the commander-in-chief, on the guy in charge, on the man. We are going to be turning our backs on the man to repudiate his foreign policy. And I think that visual is going to be really, really hard to deny. When we have hundreds of veterans in formation, talking about edge of the frame to the edge of the frame in front of the White House in this symbolic gesture, I don't think it's going to be possible for the media to fully deny this. I really don't. I don't want to make predictions here, and I should be able to from my experience in the military, or my experience in the media, in the mainstream professional media. But I do think that we, with the visual, we'll at least get a picture on the front page of the Washington Post, even if it's a little below the fold thing. I don't think they're going to be able to deny it more than that. But it's also one of those things that it's going to really strengthen the independent media. And actually, that's, in a way, in the long term, that's more exciting to me, and that's more satisfying to think that, like with my event, at the Jefferson Dance Party last year, the mainstream media only covered it because if they didn't, people watching would be like, hold on, wait a second, didn't I hear something about a Jefferson Dance Party? How come I'm not seeing that on the TV news? I'm gonna get behind my computer now, and I'm gonna look that thing up. I'm gonna go check out that viral video. I'm gonna go look that up. And I have a feeling that the mainstream media coverage from this is going, and it's important to go for it. It's important to reach out to the mainstream media, because they do represent, to a certain degree, their audiences. They do represent a significant chunk of the demographic in that sense that shouldn't be dissed or ignored. But I think that the independent media is going to be much more thorough in their coverage of this, or at least much more respectful of the significance of this. And if anything, I hope that this would serve to drive supporters of Ron Paul away from the mainstream media and into the arms of the independent movement media. And I think that's something that we underestimate the importance of, because there are a lot of people in our movement still who get their main sources.
That's one thing that I want to dwell on just a little bit, is that, they are so bad. The media has gotten so bad that more and more people are getting not just their entertainment, but their news from the internet. And they'll poo-poo it. They'll say, oh, no, that's the internet. And I'm going, at what point did you guys have some greater credibility than some 23-year-old person that was standing there with an iPhone that put it straight to his Facebook video and then commented and got an interview with a guy that did, and standing there and did it live? How are you better than that? When did that happen? So when you do your event in Washington, D.C., let me tell you what I know. There will be live coverage. There will be quick coverage. There will be posted streaming. We will have 2 designated live streamers who will be allowed to stay with the formation right up close. And how does a mainstream media outlet top that? I mean, what do they? And this new term. Yeah. Well, I guess it's not new, but I for some reason it's amazing. I haven't heard it often before. Prostitute. Everybody's using this prostitutes, which is, it hurts because it's true. So I'm just, what sparked the resurgence of that word? When did that happen?
I don't know. I thought Ernie Hancock invented that word about 30 years ago. I lay claim,
but that wouldn't do me any good. So go ahead.
No. That was 100 years ago that you came up with that one, right, Ernie?
Thank you. It is, my beard was getting out there this weekend. It was all gray. So I'm just going, what? We're going to shave that bad boy off. So you get the chin gray. I might do it. If I want to be all stallionish like Adam Kokesh and do the grandfather of, I'll do the beard thing. But where did that come from? How did that get resurrected? Very nice.
I think it was Dana Bash of CNN who was made so uncomfortable, in her own words, uncomfortable by Ron Paul's strength, who single-handedly inspired the renaissance of the term prostitute. She really, in her coverage of Ron Paul, should get an award for embodying the idea of prostitution.
Prostitution. You know, it's just it's a word, it's a phrase, it's an icon, it's a logo, it's stuff like that all of a sudden it's like Jon Stewart going on Crossfire, just beating a snot out of him. You know what? Excuse me. Crossfire's done. You know, Crossfire's over. Next, you know, and then of course they're regurgitating to something else. Now, when you talked about the Ron Paul, the choice of the troops, you know, other than the financial support for Dr. Paul, which is a really good indicator, you know, what other indications are there? I mean, you have, I remember it was Iowa, New Hampshire, where the troop came out, was named Jesse Thorson, came out. Well, CNN thought they had an easy one, okay? He's got a 9/11 Twin Tower tattoo on his neck. They're like, oh, yeah, baby, you know, he's going to be one of us. He's going to be kind of, well, if it wasn't for the foreign policy thing or something. Well, he gets up there, and it's because of the foreign policy. He starts to express himself. All of a sudden, the feed goes out. And I'm like, we're all watching it. We had a big party watching, result thing here. And we're going, right. And we thought it was a class act to have Dr. Paul bring him up and let him finish his thoughts. But I tell you this. He was in uniform, and that was going to be an issue. When we come back, I need Adam Kokesh, Mr. Marine Troop. You know, he's out there bringing the guys together in support of just demonstrating, press. Hey, man, you're not going to be able to ignore this. I want to know what's happened to that soldier. You know, there's all kinds of threats you're not allowed. We'll see what happened to Jesse when we come back in just a little bit.
Uncovering the secrets and exposing the lies. That's what the readers of freedomsphoenix.com get every day. freedomsphoenix.com, constantly providing the information, the real news about government policies, and the real relationship we all have with the coercive government. The real condition of the economy, innovations in technology, breakthroughs in energy, health, and computer science. Learn the truth well before it's admitted to in the lamestream media. The corporate media, nothing more than distributors of government propaganda, but now there's an alternative. freedomsphoenix.com. Constant news updates on the issues that affect your life in the most important ways. With liberty and property under constant attack, freedomsphoenix.com provides the understanding behind the propaganda, and it encourages the participation of its readers. Go to freedomsphoenix.com. That's freedoms with an S, phoenix.com. freedomsphoenix.com. The revolution between the ears has already happened.
Since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now there's a movie that aims back.
The government has no more right to tell us what to put in our bodies than they have to take our guns or tell us what books we can read.
6 drug police were eaten by bears while raiding a marijuana farm.
On your knees, you dirty hippies! Jesus. On your knees! What's the problem, officer?
Today, many cops who enforce pot laws do so only because it provides them with cushy jobs, good benefits, and a chance to push people around.
I was an undercover narcotics officer. The drug war is nothing but a farce.
The Second Amendment says you got to keep you and your get intact.
Hey, have you seen the Ron Paul dolls in person yet?
Yeah, one of them.
What are they like?
No, they're what you expect. They're.
I mean, do they look like them? They.
I didn't get to look too cool. I didn't get to play with it.
Well, I ordered one of each. I had Gary on, so I ordered it while we were on the show and everything. I haven't got it yet, so I was going to call him.
What I found about purchasing things like that is until you get them home and like in your dollhouse and moving around and trying out the furniture properly, you really just can't.
Well, I tell you what I'm going to do with this prostitute thing. When we come back, I'll mention it. And, he's getting screwed by the press and all that kind of stuff. So I'll hold up the doll when I get it. And I go, now, where did they touch you? So we'll have some fun with it. We're streaming video live, so I don't want to get too personal. We'll do it after the top of the hour when we make the break. I'll ask you some questions. We'll be right back.
FM running around the clock, and you can even add in your own local shows. Building a radio station is simple, but programming isn't. That's where LRN.FM comes in. Learn more at broadcast.lrn.fm. That's broadcast.lrn.fm.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this, right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it, and once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
Immigrating to the Shire was easy. I was instantly plugged into a community of individuals who also care about peace, liberty, and justice, and are willing to do something about it.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here, and I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, add yourself to the Shire map at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com.
You can watch the LRN Studio Cam and chat with other listeners anytime at cam.lrn.fm. That's cam.lrn.fm.
Freedom is the answer. What's the question?
I want to break free.
You're listening to Ernest Hancock.
I want to break free. I want to break free from your lies.
Yeah, let's break free. Break free from your lies. You know, from the abuse of the system. I mean, how abused do we have to be before we go, hey, man, don't do that to me anymore? You know, it's like the Ron Paul dolls, okay? We got a couple of them ordering, the Superman one, the other one I'm waiting, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to take it, I'm going to hold it up like my fresh squeezed orange juice here. I'm going to hold it up and say, the prostitutes got to you, Dr. Paul? Now, where did they touch you? Where did they touch you? They're always doing you, you know? Well, it's always nice to have some military men with some, knowledge there to protect you, at least stand up for you, because that has to have some kind of an impact on the big bad boys. Because they, you be in uniform, you're armed. You do what we say when we say how we say it. Yes, and boss, I'd be saluting. Well, what happens with a guy with a 9/11 tattoo on his neck gets up there saying, Dr. Paul in uniform and bite me? You're almost begging for, how would you not in any photograph, any photo op, any trial, any court-martial, any appearance, anything, all he has to do is go like that. Turn his neck and say, yeah, so you want to play? Let's play. So I'm wondering, I got to ask, Jesse Thorson, what has been the repercussions for him for doing that? I know there's always a threat. You know what's going on with that?
Yeah, it's been really interesting. I've been in contact with Jesse, and he is going to be coming out from Iowa to D.C. for this event, so very exciting. If you want to be here, you can march alongside Jesse Thorson. And by the way, we should point out that while this is a march where we are showing veterans and active duty support, we are inviting family members to march behind us and for non-military affiliates to line the parade route and be there with us at the White House for the ceremony. But Jesse Thorson got a little bit more than the normal repercussion, although his visibility, I think, is certainly helping to protect him at this point, because in the military, it doesn't really matter what the regulations say. If your sergeant says he feels like making you pick up cigarette butts for the whole day, then the rest of your career, then that's what you're going to do, and they really do have that kind of authority over you, because that's what you give up when you enlist in the military. So, he was reprimanded, and there's some administrative process right now in examining that and seeing how much he's actually going to be cracked down on, because he did violate a regulation in that. But here's what's interesting, because he made a video then for YouTube explaining himself, really getting into the issues very thoroughly, talking about why he supports Ron Paul, and he did it in his civilian attire, on his own time, on his personal YouTube channel, and that is actually protected speech for a member of the military. There are restrictions that are appropriate for members of the military, that you can't criticize your chain of command in specific terms, although that's what's so exciting about this event. It's given the troops a way to turn their back on the president, to to be critical of their commander-in-chief and say we'd rather have Ron Paul as president, and with who knows what the military is going to do to those guys on active duty that come out for this event. But I really want to applaud their courage and their willingness to stand up for what they believe in and say that my support is more important.
Does he face any kind of official charges? Is there something that they're going after him for? Has that been broached?
I don't think it has yet, and I think they're kind of jerking him around and keeping him at arm's length until this event happens, and they're waiting to see how it shakes out. And they're also very aware at this point that cracking down on Jesse Thorson would really increase the
bias,
the attention to this, and bring more power to the cause. But the thing that's so interesting is this video that he did. They ordered him to take it down. Which was an unlawful order for them to issue. It was unlawful for them to tell Jesse Thorson, this video that you made on your own time, you can't just leave it up on YouTube. Well, I was very fortunate to be tipped off to this possibility and received or ripped his video from his website.
Gimme.
Yeah, exactly. I was able to repost it. And it's been up for a couple weeks on my YouTube channel. It's called Corporal Jesse Thorson Speaks Out for Ron Paul. Got it edited together with some information about the event, and I think I did the best job of telling the story of what happened that night in video and explaining the significance of who Jesse Thorson is and what he represents now for our movement. But we've got that video up. It's got...
Right now, tell Donna, she's going to put it up right now. Tell her, ask him where's the video at.
Okay, where's
Excellent.
the video?
At youtube.com/Adam Kokesh, and the title of the video is Corporal Jesse Thorson Speaks Out for Ron Paul Despite U.S. Army Censorship. And so we've got the whole story of Jesse Thorson in that video, and he's at the point, and what they're really trying to avoid.
No, she's going to go do it right now.
I'm going to do it right now.
Right now, go! I want it up. Because it's banned, man. We got to have banned material.
It's 14 minutes long, so you're gonna have to take a minute to get into this. But let me just say that this is what's really exciting here, and I think why they're so concerned, because I see a guy like Jesse Thorson, and he's talked to me about this. More off the record, but so I won't say anything specifically. Let me just say my remarks that follow this comment are my observations about active duty in general, not necessarily any particular individual. But I think there are a lot of troops who are at that point where if you rub them the wrong way, if you piss them off just enough, if you tell them that they can't speak out on top of everything else that they're subjected to as members of the military now.
On top of everything else.
After 10 deployments of protecting freedom here at home, that they can't speak out and be politically engaged. There are a lot of troops who are just like, screw it. I'm coming to the march in uniform. I'm going to be there in uniform. And they can come after me if they want. What's the worst they're going to do? Kick me out of the military? What's the worst they're going to do? Not send me back to Afghanistan for another tour? What's the worst that they can do? Keep me from getting shot for something that doesn't help keep America safe? Wow, that's some scary punishment.
Well, that'll
and it's at the point where the government has so little credibility. These guys aren't even worried about getting negative discharges.
Dishonorable discharge or negative or, whatever, that may not mean anything. But, it's just like, Stalin and Hitler and whatever else, they'd send you to the front. They may not do that now. They don't want you out there. But, there'll come a time where they're just going to send you to the front. Has that ever happened? Or is that a threat of happening? Or they just, put them in some base and try and hide them?
Yeah, well, you could say that happened to Patrick Tillman and the alleged friendly fire incident that led to his death in Afghanistan was a case of sending someone controversial to the front lines in the hope that they wouldn't come back. To put it mildly, there's some very credible conspiracy theories as to what happened there with all the different ways that the military lied about.
We're very up on Tillman here in Arizona. We've been following that from the beginning.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, should be very familiar with the story
when that movie first came out, a documentary on that, we all made a point to go see that. And the credibility of the man in all forms has really eroded. And when you have the troops do it peacefully and openly and defiantly, you have to think that that's at least one of the cracks in the bad guy's armor. And
oh yeah, and they see that, they're desperate to stop that and make sure that the troops stay in line and make sure that this doesn't get any undue attention and that this doesn't inspire more resistance. But I mean, even in and of itself, I don't want to put a legal term on this that's going to get people in trouble, but as a member of the military, turning your back symbolically on the commander-in-chief is
disassociation, affiliation, cling on, turn your back on, kind of bad thing.
They get the significance of this. And I think they're scared because this is people drawing that line in the sand. And when it comes time to defend it, I guess that's when things get really interesting. But I really am very excited to see, like I said, that this is causing active duty guys to talk amongst themselves, that start having these conversations, to start talking about these moral issues, and that's very satisfying. So,
well, I'm glad you're taking this on. One less thing a bunch of the rest of us have to do. It's up. Donna's got it up. Boom. Boom shakalaka. Go to freedomswithansphoenix.com, today's archive, and there she be. Thorson's You're Not Allowed to Have It. Adam Kokesh got it. We ripped it off. All right, so we got it up there. Now, go ahead and give out the website for how you're promoting this event.
Well, the best way is to find it on Facebook. Search for the event. Ron Paul is the choice of the troops. If not, you can find it through my website. It's a little easier. AdamVersusTheMan.com. There's a banner link to it at the top of the page. You can donate to support this cause, help get some vets there that otherwise wouldn't be able to afford it at AdamVersusTheMan.com.
AdamVSTheMan.com.
North and...
Okay, there, you got it all in.
Everything.
Okay,
I'm going back to sleep.
Yeah, sorry to rustle you. The one thing I wanted to ask you is, go ahead and kill the video. Hold on a second. Now restart the second hour anyway.